So, Ben Whittaker has signed with Matchroom Boxing in a move that seemingly came out of nowhere. There was no real rumours of Ben Whittaker necessarily being unhappy with Boxer, because that's who he's currently was. That's who he previously was signed with, I believe, with Boxer, with Ben Shalom, and was planning to be a decent part of this BBC era for Boxer, but clearly Ben Whittaker had different plans, and he's now signed with Matchroom. Now, this was a move that, like I said, did surprise me, but probably for all those involved, does make a lot of sense. Where Eddie Hearn is realistically the number one promoter, and he's going to be able to get you those big money fights, those world title fights. He's going to be able to get you, he's going to fast track you to those big fights, and it makes sense. And you want to get paid, and like they said in that video where they were sort of announcing the signing, he's saying, "Show me the money." And they just shout, "Show me the money." That's it, man. Show him the money, and you've got him. Which is boxing. He's a prize fighter, so you can't expect nothing less. So, in terms of Ben Whittaker now that he's signed to Matchroom, of course, there's going to be a lot more eyes on him, a lot more pressure, and a lot more criticism too. Now, there'll be people that will want Ben Whittaker to have maybe one tune-up fight and then be mixing it with world-level guys. And I don't think he's at that level yet as a pro. I think of course, he accomplished tons in the Olympics as an amateur. He was a Team GP. I believe he was an Olympian. But I did represent Team GB. I know that at a very high level. So you would be thinking, okay, well, this guy can do like Andy Cruz and just sort of be speed ran to a world championship. I honestly, I don't think light heavyweight is that sort of division. Light heavyweight's a very stacked division at this moment. And a lot of tough guys at the top of that division. You can't really fast track a guy the same way they're fast tracking an Andy Cruz. So really, I think if you're looking at the rankings, Ben Whittaker's next fight could realistically be against the likes of, I don't know, a Lyndon Arthur, right? I think he'd beat a Lyndon Arthur. Then, you're looking at a slightly high level, another step up. I forget the sort of guys that are in and around that range. Let me have a look quick. Remind me quickly. Yeah, so a Lyndon Arthur. Then you could fight an Ezra Taylor. I like that fight a lot. I think Ezra Taylor beats his opponent, Liam Edmondson. This video may or may not be coming out before that fight. But I like that fight for Ben Whittaker. I mean, I like a lot of the fights for Ben Whittaker because I think he's a really talented boxer. And I think he'll only start to have some trouble by the time, if he beats an Ezra Taylor, by that time he'd be looking at realistically probably a Willie Hutchinson or an Imam Katayev. I think those sorts of guys could cause some serious problems. That being said, by that point, that'll be a Ben Whittaker with even more experience, even more camps under his belt, would have grown into the pro game even more. He could have a chance against the likes of Imam Katayev. He could. It's tough. And even now, it's a bit of a hard sell for me. I'm thinking, honestly, I think Katayev would do him there, but I don't know. Maybe it's that British bias. I think it might be that British bias where I'm just thinking, yeah, he's going to beat these guys and he's going to go to world level. He's going to be a world champion. But I realistically, I see it. I think he can beat the guys up until that point. But once he's fighting, like I said, the even a Craig Richards of the world, and I think he could beat a Craig Richards. But the likes of Imam Katayev or Willie Hutchinson, I can see those guys causing him problems. However, if you can beat those guys, then you're in that fringe world level sort of category with, your Joshua Buatsi's, your Anthony Yards, right? And if you can beat those guys, then we know you're capable of being in talks with, the world championship guys, your Bivol, Beterbievs, your Benavidez's, etc., etc. Even your Callum Smiths, and Albert Ramirez. You know what? I think he'd do Albert Ramirez, to be fair. I don't think Albert Ramirez has fought a super high caliber of boxer. And definitely if Ben Whittaker came up beating those guys who I said, Lyndon Arthur, Ezra Taylor, Imam Katayev, if he can beat all those guys, then he's going to be a huge name by the time he's getting to those world title fights. And would actually probably be seen as a bit of a money fight for those champions. Like an undefeated Ben Whittaker at what would his thing even be at that point? So I'm saying, okay, undefeated Ben Whittaker like 14-0. He's only 9-0. We shouldn't be trying to fast track him, guys. He's 28, but we don't need to be fast tracking him. I'm being honest. Give him those 4 fights. Get him to 13-0. Ben Whittaker at 13-0 with a couple more knockouts will be a huge name. Will be a huge name in the light heavyweight division. So, not surprised that he's made this move to Matchroom, but I'd be super curious to know what you guys think of this move for Ben Whittaker, and who do you think his first fight in the Matchroom Boxing stable will be? Let me know in the comments below, and I'm out. Peace.